What's on the agenda today? Well, I have these Trident maple that was dug out a year ago, maybe a little bit less, but it was in the way of my landscape, so I dug them out. And the first year, what you do is let it recover. And looks like they recover nicely. They should be well rooted, although I will not be pulling it out to make sure, because if I'm slightly off, I could do more damage than good. But anyway, it used to go straight up. I think it was growing underneath something, so it was fighting for the sunlight, so it went straight up and not much character to it. And then it's lacking in root flare, but I think there is a root flare down below. A lot of times these have to be planted deep so that they are stable. And last year when I planted this, I marked it where I should cut. So a lot of times we cut these roughly and then go back after we know that it's very healthy to cut. So seeing the mark, probably I was doing it based on what was down below. I wish I could remember everything, but I think that's what it is. So I'm just going to take the saw and cut it at that line. Okay, now that's been cut. So what we're going to do next is to start working on the apex, right? So the one that's closest to the top, which is this one here, it'll stay, and this one will be cut. And this one will be cut. Let this one shoot for a while till it gets some girth on it, and then make that nice transition. This might be better cut off later, but that's okay. So you could see that I do have a good root flare. A soil line used to be here. That was intentional so that this will be stable. But there's a good root flare that's down in here. And based on the roots, I had decided to do this cut like this. That was the reason for cutting like that. If it was just a straight with no root flare that dictated where it needed to go, I could have gone anyway. But because of the way the root was, I had marked it like that. Of course, I didn't remember, but based on what I've been doing in the past, I was correct that this one does have a good root flare. So it's not as bland of a tree as it could have been, but we still got years. Here's the next one. Guess that's about where it should be. Oh, I took off what was going up so that we keep these horizontal. But see these up here, they're too big. We want this to thicken, so these are definite keepers as sacrifice. But over here, if we keep it too long, it'll fatten this area and either bulge or a reverse taper. So I'm gonna have to take my other shears and actually the concave cutters to cut these off so we don't end up with the bulge up here, versus over here we have excess branches, but that's okay because that's what we need to fatten that area. So you got to look at your branch quality and proceed with okay, this, I'm not sure if this is a keeper becoming a double trunk, or it's a temporary as a sacrifice branch, or should it just come off now? I'm going to treat it as a possible double trunk and sacrifice. So I'm just going to recut this so that it comes across here. Okay, I took care of that. It looks better now. Okay, so now for our apex. And I'm looking at this line going like this, and I'm thinking this will be a good line. I could go here, but that's kind of on the long side. So if I cut here, let this grow, and then cut it again. You notice that I did keep a little bit of stub on here so that in case of dieback, usually on the Trident not so bad, but if it does, at least I could recut it. So that's going to be our future apex. Okay, here's another one. So, if this was yours, what would you do? So, hopefully, you had the same idea. We'll cut it right here, and then go up this line, and then where do we cut next? Boy, that goes almost straight up again. Okay, there's a bud right here, so I'm thinking, I'm just keeping this as a dieback, let these grow, and then cut it again. There's too many in that zone there, both left and right. So if you're not careful, you'll end up bulging. And nothing, well, it could be a lot worse, but we don't want bulging in the middle of the trunk. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of those problems. Well, it's before the problem happens is what I want. Okay, I'm gonna move to the next one. Okay, this is our last of this cart. I think there's going to be a problem with this one here. I think of all the ones that I've brought today, this is going to be the most difficult. The difficulty is this one and this one, they're running parallel and they're almost joined. Well, in terms of taper, it'll be better if I remove this and go up this line. But I'm not sure whether I could get my saw in there or not. So I'm gonna have to study this and see how I'm gonna get in there. Taking this off and going that way, I don't think will be as interesting because it's so fat that there will not be taper. I think the solution is take it out in sections. So what I did was I used my electric saw, cut almost to where I need to be, then switch to the hand so that I don't go overboard and cut off the new leader. So, okay, I just used the electric saw and cut this, but I'm gonna have to take the hand tools or carver and nibble this down. It is so tight in here, there's really not a easy way to get it close. So that's what I'm gonna do, is to take the hand tool and see if I could nibble this down and expose only those. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's like this. Just slow and easy, right? Take little bites till you get down to where you need to be, because it's crucial that you don't damage this side. I still got a ways to go here. Because of the big wound, I'm gonna not do anything up here. I'm gonna let it go really vigorously large to draw the energy to see if I could get this to heal better. So Yes, I could try to go for apex now, but I think it's more important that this start to heal. And one of the best way is to let all these things grow very vigorously, have that cell division, and this will start to roll over and heal. So that's the game plan for this one here. So this was a chapter on second year of field dug trident maple. These got a ways to go, but I think I've explained the game plan. So what I'm going to do now is these were in well-protected area, so that the shade plus the wind protection, so that it doesn't get knocked over or ruin the roots that were starting to reform. So anyway, this is going to go back into harsher climate. Morning sun, definitely try to keep it away from the afternoon sun. But other than that, in full exposure. It's going to get cold still, and I think it's good. These deciduous plants do so much better when it's exposed to the cold, and then it could come back. But anyway, this has been the cart full of trident maples. And this is Hiro saying goodbye. I'll see you again in another chapter. Oh yeah, I really appreciate those comments that you've been making. So many positive ones. It's heartwarming. Oh yes, if you can remember, can you tell me where you're from? I'm just curious, because evidently I'm covering the whole world, and I never in my dream that I would ever be in this situation. Anyway, thank you so much. I'll see you again real soon.